Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Mark Causey here from Black Cat Comics and Rockin' Milpitas. Every Wednesday is New Comic Day, and I like to give you some great reasons to get down to go to black-cat-comics.com and pick up something super fun to read. This week is packed with great stuff that's fun to read. Some books I'm really excited to talk about. I'm going to start with one of my favorites of all time. This is Fantastic Four number 32. This is The Bride of Doom, Part 1. You can read more about this one in our newsletter. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, always have been. Been pushing this book for a little while because Marvel's had some of their best creative teams on this book for years and years and years. And right now this book is as good as it gets. Sci-fi, action, family fun, everything that's fun about superhero comics goes on in Fantastic Four. And this one stars Dr. Doom, the second greatest villain in all of comics. So if for some reason you're not reading Fantastic Four, you have to pick up this issue this week and see why I'm always talking about the FF and see why Stan and Jack called it the world's greatest comic magazine, because that's what it is. And Heroes Reborn, number 2, the new big Marvel event book. Number 1 just came out last week. If you missed it, grab number 1. Grab this week's number 2. It's sort of, well, I don't even want to say too much about it. It's a world without the Avengers, and hijinks ensue. This is the main book. There's a couple of minis rolling out this week. Hyperion, the main guy from the Squadron Supreme, and Peter Parker, the amazing Shutterbug. One thing I always say about these Marvel events, you don't have to pick up the side books. The main book is the main book, and it's self-contained, and that's all you really need to follow. But if you love the main book, it's always worth checking out at least the first issues of some of these side books, or if you're a fan of these characters, like everybody's a SpiderMan fan. Always fun to see little side stories that go alongside the main event books. Good times. Speaking of Peter Parker, the amazing Shutterbug, there's lots of Spider-Man to talk about this week. This is Giant Size Amazing Spider-Man number 1, King's Ransom. A little bit like an annual. I know sometimes you guys pass these books up, but this Giant Size one concludes a lot of what's been going on in the main Amazing Spider-Man run. So if you're following Amazing Spider-Man, you're not going to want to miss this one, because like I say, it wraps up a whole lot of the things that have been going on in the main book. And much like Fantastic Four, Amazing Spider-Man is as good as it's been in a long, long time. So if for some reason Amazing fell off your list, pick up this week's Giant Size and jump back in, because it's just some of the most fun you'll have reading comics. Spider-Man, SpiderShadow, another Spidey book for this week. Again, if you missed number 1, you can grab that one, catch up to this week's number 2. This is sort of a what-if story. If you remember the what-if tales from many, many different series over the years, this one speculates what if Peter were Venom, if he'd hung on to the symbiote. Good stuff. Spider-Woman, a book that might be flying under your radar but has been really solid. And Silk, something like the new Spider-Woman. A couple of other spider-related books. And last but not least is, of course, Black Cat, which, of course, has a little bit of a spider theme. And, you know, here at Black Cat Comics, we're never going to miss an opportunity to pitch a Black Cat comic. And look how cool that cover is. Good stuff. Good week for the X-Books, too. X-Corp, number 1. Stars one of my favorite X-Men, Warren Worthington, the original Angel. Always encouraging folks to have an X-book on their list. And, of course, the first issue is a great one to jump into. Or you can pick up X-Factor or Children of the Atom. All kinds of great stuff going on in the X-verse these days. And Star Wars 13 continues your War of the Bounty Hunters stuff that launched last week with War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha. These are all the prelude books. The War of the Bounty Hunter is going to be crossing over through all the different Star Wars stuff. And much like a lot of the titles I've already mentioned, Marvel's doing a bang-up job with all this Star Wars stuff. You should be reading Star Wars or Darth Vader or Dr. Aphra, Bounty Hunters, whatever it might be. And this, of course, is the core book. So if you're not following any Star Wars stuff, this is a great issue to jump in. Grab this one, grab last week's War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha, or this week's Star Wars High Republic, one of the many Marvel books taking the world by storm right now. This one sells out every single time and goes to reprint. So if you're not following High Republic, you're probably missing out on something really awesome. Great week for the DC guys. This is Future State Gotham, another example of something I have a lot of examples of today, and that's the wide range of things that DC does with Batman, like Future State Gotham, a little bit of Red Hood action there, like Batman Urban Legends, cool anthology with a bunch of different stories about a bunch of different Bat characters, or Batman the Detective, or the one I'm most excited about, Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries. You love Batman, you love Scooby-Doo, you love mysteries. There's everything all in one title for you, for the younger readers in your life. Good times. And The Joker rounds out your somewhat Bat-related stuff for the week. This is another book that's just setting the world on fire right now. Grab number 1, grab number 2 if you can find one, and pick up this week's number 3, because that's great stuff. Superman number 31. One of my favorite DC books right now, and Challenge of the Super Sons. I always want to say Challenge of the Super Friends, but that's something very, very different. Love me some Super Sons. Really glad that they brought this one back. It's the new dynamic duo. And Wonder Woman, the third of the big trinity. Another book everybody should have on their list. Great stuff. Justice League Last Ride number 1. New little mini, giving you an opportunity to check out something Justice League that's a little outside the continuity. DC Festival of Heroes is this big giant one-shot with a focus on all of their Asian heroes, which is really cool. As I've mentioned, I love anthology stories with multiple creative teams and different characters going on. Fun stuff. And last but definitely not least is Rorschach. You know we love some Tom King around here. You know, everybody loves anything Watchmen related. If for some reason this is the first you're hearing about this book, you really need to pick up Rorschach number 1 and catch up to the recent issues. You also need to pick up Batman Catwoman, because anything Tom King is worth your $4.99. Good stuff. And a great week for all the other guys too. Black Hammer Visions from the brilliant mind of Jeff Lemire. Love this Black Hammer stuff. Pick up Black Hammer Volume 1. And treat yourself to a really, really cool superhero universe, a little bit like everything you've seen before and a little bit unlike anything you've seen before. Love me some Black Hammer. And House of Lost Horizons is your Mike Mignola book of the week from the world of Hellboy. You know I never miss an opportunity to pitch anything Mignola, anything Hellboy or Hellboy-esque. Everybody should have a Dark Horse book on their list. Geiger is your Image book of the week. Another thing I say all the time is that everybody should have an Image book on their list, like this one, or like Ice Cream Man. Everybody's loving Ice Cream Man. Whoever your favorite writer or artist is over at Marvel or DC, they probably have a really great Image book, like Geiger or like Ice Cream Man, or maybe it's Time Before Time. Your first issue, gotta have it Image book of the week, because there's always a first issue, gotta have it Image book of the week. And again, always encouraging you guys to check out the new Image books, because they do stuff that the other publishers just don't do, and that's really fun. Red Sonja Superpowers takes you back to the golden age of comics, and Vampirella Vs Purgatory takes you back to the 90s of comics, thanks to Dynamite. Always talking up the great job Dynamite does with Red Sonja and Vampirella and all those cool crossovers. It's a big week for the Whedonverse. This is Buffy the Vampire Slayer number 25, and this is Firefly, brand new verse. Been saying Joss Whedon took all of his stuff over to Boom Studios and has been doing a bang-up job of it. Buffy started all over from scratch, and that's been a lot of fun, and this Firefly brand new verse is a sort of starting all over again too. Characters you may be familiar with, but new characters, new stories, all taking place in that Firefly verse, so that's fun. Silver City number 1 is an Aftershock first issue, giving you an opportunity to try something new from a publisher that you might not be checking out. And Resistance from the all-time great J. Michael Straczynski is your AWA book of the week. Really been encouraging you guys to check out anything from AWA, like Resistance, like Chariot, like Redemption. All kinds of cool stuff from them. Heavy Metal Magazine is out this week. A little bit like Mad Magazine, Heavy Metal doesn't come out very often, but I always like to give it its due. Yes, it's very mature reader. This one is not for the younger reader in your life and is not to be left on your coffee table, but Heavy Metal is awesome and has always had some of the best art in comics. So if you don't know much about Heavy Metal, or if you've been away for a while, grab this week's issue and treat yourself to some sci-fi horror fusion with a mature reader angle. And to go from mature readers to all ages, IDW has the sweep this week. This is Marvel Action SpiderMan. IDW and Marvel team up to do their all ages line, and they do Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Avengers, all kinds of different things. Fun stuff. And My Little Pony, the 2021 annual, big old chunky issue of My Little Pony, rounds out your all ages stuff. Great week of stuff. Good week to try some of your favorites. Good week to try something new. Also want to mention that at long last, we are back open. By appointment, go to black-cat-comics.com, click on In-Store Experience, and book a half-an-hour time slot with you and your local comic book guy, just hanging out talking comics, just like we used to before the pandemicalypse. Really excited to see people rolling back in, really excited to see your the smile behind your little mask. So we're still doing the curbsides. We're, of course, still shipping out. We're, of course, still putting up everything online at black-cat-comics.com, new this week, all that good stuff. But if you want to spend a little time with your comic book guy, go ahead and book that in-store experience. And let's hang out and talk. That's all we got for you for this week. Pick up your new books. Check them out. Tune in Saturday. We'll talk about them on Comic Shop Talk Live. Thanks for watching.